Whereas recently, your vice president, Kamala Harris, decided to go to Ghana. She went to Tanzania and she was going to Zambia in her Africa tour. Now, the reason why she's doing this is because the United States is worried they're losing influence on the African continent because China, the BRICS, alliance is getting more influence there. And because I've been to the African continent, a few times, I understand why. Because the United States have never did anything for the African continent at all. All they did was, okay, you gave them aid, but you didn't help them build any kind of infrastructure. You didn't help them build any roads, bridges. You didn't help them do anything. You just gave it aid to corrupt politicians. And in exchange for that, you got to do what you want, push your will on them. And if they stood up to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, then you just caused a coup. And people in the African continent today see that, and that's why you're starting to see a mass rejection of the Western world, not just the United States, but the Western world all the way around, whether it's France, whether it's Germany, like any of them. They are rejecting them, and they're embracing more China and Russia and other, mostly China, I would say, if anything else. Because what I've seen, the Chinese are doing so many infrastructure projects over there, and it's greatly needed. Like I told y'all before, when I came back from Kenya, the Chinese built a toll road over there that used to take you an hour to get from the airport to the hotel I was staying at. Now it only takes you 15 minutes. The people appreciate things like that. New airports, that a lot of times they're building for them over there. Some of the things that they're doing in exchange for getting the resources that they want, right? So Kamala goes over, and instead of talking about what you're going to do that's better than what China's doing, she goes over there and tries to lecture the Ghanaian people about human rights, LGBT, etc. Now, you see here, that's Kamala on the screen, but I want to, I saw this picture. I said, let me point this picture out real quick. What Kamala's wearing here is very nice. Now, why don't Kamala dress like that all the time? Them pantsuits is ridiculous to me. It is so ridiculous. I would not even want my wife walking around with a doggone pantsuit on. You can be in business and still wear nice dresses. You can wear flowing clothes. You can wear some nice things. You don't have to walk around like that. Even Michelle Obama didn't walk around with no pantsuits. I mean, to me, it look like a doggone man. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say. It look like a doggone man. But that's a conversation for a different day because her dude, let me not go there. So there's a MP in their parliament by the name of Sam George is his brother's name. And he took to task Kamala and some of the things that she was saying while there, especially promoting the rainbow agenda for sure. But let's play what this brother had to say, because this brother definitely had a mouthful. Because you know what I told y'all, the old days of Africans being quiet, not saying anything, going along to get along, them days have come to an end because more and more Africans are speaking. I told you the social media has got rid of a lot of the smoke and mirrors and facade that they would push on the African continent, even relating to us. But let's go ahead and play what this brother had to say.
Kamala Harris is entitled to her opinion, the same way you're entitled to your opinion, the same way I hold the opinion that she and the American government are a bunch of cowards, and that they have no right to talk about human rights because they're the biggest abusers of human rights.
Yes, they are. Oh, yes. And Black Americans have been on the receiving end of that. Let's go, brother.
Child rights are equally human rights. And yesterday, 2 hours after that press conference with the president, a 28-year-old gun woman walked into an American school and killed 3 American children and killed 3 American teachers. It's the rights, one of the fundamental basic rights of any human being is the right to life. The American government, in which Kamala Harris is vice president, is failing to take decisive action on gun control. And so people who should not have access to weapons are having access to assault rifles and killing innocent children and teachers in America. And the vice president of that country wants to come and teach us human rights.
Go ahead, brother. Look, Ghana. That's your next president right there. Look, That's the guy you need to elect as your next president. After President Akufo-Addo, after his term, this is your president right here. I like this brother. This brother tell it like it is. You need more Africans like this brother in leadership. Because this brother is just putting it out there. He ain't lying about anything. We know this. Every freaking week, there is a terror attack. Let's call it what it is. It's terrorism. They won't call it a mass shooting. No, it's terrorism. Because the person has said Allah Akbar and did it, then they will say it's terrorism, right? So, with that being said, this brother right here is just putting it back in their face. How are you going to say something about some human rights and you can't even stop that from happening in the United States of America because your precious folks going to keep a hold of their guns and they don't care what happens to everybody else? Because let's call it what it is. Only certain guns is great for self-defense, and then some are something that belong on the battlefield. It's just completely true. What a person need with 100-round drum. What do you need with that? I mean, if that's the case, go join the U.S. Army. If you want to go shoot that.
I mean, the irony of it. She's a person of color. But for being vice president, what happened to George Floyd could easily have happened to her. Or any of the several people who have been killed in America by errant white policemen, which has led to the Black Lives Matter issue. If people have to demonstrate to let the American government know that Black Lives Matter, they need help from us. I've stated on record that myself and my colleagues are very willing to engage the American government and the U.S. Congress to help them shape laws that will clamp down on gun violence because they really have need for it. But it's the hypocrisy.
Wow. So now the brothers say, look, we're willing to go over to America and show these folks what laws they need to put on the books to protect the American people. But see, you're not going to see this video on the evening news in America. You're not going to see this. I told y'all, this is why I do what I do. I cover things with black folks all over the world. Because black America need to know. See, they'll tell you, and people like to run this, the Africans, they don't say nothing about black people or black Americans. They don't do this. They don't know what's going on. Listen, we got the internet now. Everybody is learning every day. And when we create platforms, when we put these videos out, you have to look at it. You are educating even about our own story. You understand what I'm saying? He wouldn't have this knowledge, and it wouldn't have been for black Americans telling our story, putting it out there. Okay, he wouldn't know any of this stuff related to us. But let's continue.
Of the U.S., where they call homosexuality a human rights issue in Africa, but yet they are doing business with countries where homosexuality is frowned upon. Over $1 billion of military hardware is sold to Qatar almost on a yearly basis. In Qatar, homosexuality is punished by death, not imprisonment. Why are they not threatening Qatar? One of the biggest trading partners of the United States government is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, it's punished by death. Why are they not threatening them? Why are they not threatening Russia? Then they come to Ghana and Africa and they want to come and threaten us with LGBTQ. The American government is a bunch of hypocrites. If they really want to flex their muscle, they should go and flex their muscle on Russia, India, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the places where they are selling weapons to.
Boy, yeah, and listen, they all talking about we gonna think about what we gonna do to Uganda if that law. Why they ain't doing nothing until he said to Saudi Arabia, all them Arab nations, that's LGBT is not legal, and yet you don't hear no conferences about sanctions. You don't hear anything, and and maybe somebody need to go question and say, hey, you talking about Uganda with LGBT, but why don't you want to talk about Saudi Arabia? Why don't you talk about Qatar? They just had a whole World Cup. Why the United States say, you know what, because of human rights of LGBT, we're not participating in the World Cup because it's in Qatar. They behind right to Qatar during the World Cup because I was in Kenya when the World Cup was happening, and the United States was a part of the World Cup, even though they have laws against LGBT. They haven't had a guy that tried to mess around and he found out, showing up over there with an LGBT t-shirt, and that didn't end too well for him at all for doing that. He was a Mzungu. But you see, brother, they do that to y'all because they feel they can bully y'all. See, they can't bully Saudi Arabia. They can't bully Qatar. They definitely can't bully China. They can't bully Russia. So they feel like they're gonna pick on y'all. It's like the schoolyard playground. It's like, okay, I'm the bigger person. I'm gonna pick on you. I'm going to tell you what to do. And with this brother saying, that sentiment is spreading all over the African continent. Say, wait a minute, go to Saudi Arabia and tell them that crap. When you start telling them that, when Kamala go to the crown prince of Saudi Arabia and you tell him human rights issues, man, they'll get Kamala out of that country so fast for saying that crap. Please, they better not. They know not to go over there with that. There's so many human rights issues in the Middle East, but they're not addressing that. What Ghana decides to do, what Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, any place, they do what they want to do. What's conducive for their society. It's legal in the Western world. Do what you got to do in the Western world. Have your parades, have your drag queen reading the children, do it all you want to do. But there are places in the world that people can say, you know what? I can go places where that's not conducive for the society. It's not conducive for my Christianity, my Islamic religion, my, whatever religion that you may be. That's not something that I want to have my kids around. And people now have a choice to go to countries like that. Because where the Western world is going, they're opening up the door for legalized pedos. I'm telling you, because me and my wife was discussing this last night. I remember, and I said it, if you watch my video that I made when the Supreme Court say they can get married, in that video, I said America, with the help of Barack Hussein Obama, has opened up Pandora's box. I remember saying it back, 2015 or so when this happened. I say they've opened up Pandora's box. And I say it's not going to stop there. Because remember, we just want to love each other. We just want to get married just like straight people want to get married. That's it. We just want to get married. Okay, fine. They can get married. Then it went from getting married to trans going to the same bathroom with biological women. Then we went from that to going to drag queens reading the children. Then went to the Sodom and Gomorrah style parades that's out here, in the United States that we see going on, right? It went from just getting married to living normal like everybody else to all these other things. And now all these different genders, you're not a male or female, you're non-binary, it has gotten, other letters have been added since it used to be LGBT. Now it's LGBTQIA plus. It's so many different things that's happened now since then. Other countries have seen what's happening in the Western world, and they say, no, we don't want that here. And because it's not worked for the Western world, why do you think you're going to push that on everybody else? But of course, it's about controlling population. But the brothers and sisters in the continent are not playing that. They can't protect the American people. They can't protect school-age children from losing their life. They have no right to go tell somebody how to live. They definitely don't do nothing right for black people. That's a human rights violation every time you look up. George Floyd, human rights violation. Tyree Nichols, human rights violation. Sandra Bland, human rights violation. And Malcolm X talked about all the violations of human rights and going to the UN, talking about the human rights issue too. Because what happens to us is a human rights issue. But y'all let me know what our brother here says. Like I say, Ghanaians, you need to elect that brother as your next president. I'm serious. That's a brother that's going to lead y'all on the right path. I'll tell you that much. We need more and more Africans to take a stand, like our brother here, and call these people out. And I love that he added us in there, because that's trust me, we are the Achilles heel more than even that. All you got to point to, even China did that when you remember a year or so ago, a year or two ago, they had a meeting with China in, I think, Alaska somewhere. And they tried to wag their finger at China, talking about what they do to the Uyghur Muslims. And they say, wait a minute. Well, look what you do to black people. You say, look at what you did. Look, your police, look what they do to George Floyd. Look at how you discriminate against black people. But the American media didn't want to talk about all of that. And do you know China actually put out a human rights report about the United States, and it detailed all the things that happened to us? Do you know that they actually put that out a while back? See, the American media don't cover that kind of stuff. They don't want to talk about what other countries say about, because I told y'all, the American media is a propaganda wing. They're not for telling the news and for what it is, especially news about us. And I'm not saying the Chinese are Black America's friend, but it's like this. When it comes to this situation, the truth is the truth, no matter if it comes from a person you like or don't like. So I'm glad the African continent is rejecting what they're selling. I'm glad, because now they're going to have to offer them something. You can't wag your finger at them no more and tell them you're going to do what we say do. No, you're going to have to compete with the Chinese, and you're going to have to start building up this infrastructure over here. So the African continent is about to win all the way around. Either the Western world start building up infrastructure, and listen, they wouldn't build up infrastructure in this country. So either they start building up infrastructure for them, or they're going to lose out. That's just that simple. But let me know what y'all think about, this situation. Like I said, a new day in the world, but hey, it's an interesting time to live in, and I'm here for it.